It's Kathy from CMF Voice and Cruise Coach. Today I wanted to talk to you about something called vocal hygiene. Now, we know about hygiene when it relates to the body, right? Cleanliness, maintaining proper health and disease prevention, all relating to hygiene, how you keep the body clean. But how does it relate to the voice? Many things are pretty obvious, things that you know, but some things you don't realize you're doing may actually be causing harm to the vocal folds. So it's being aware of your environment, it's being aware of your body and your actions and what you're doing, because sometimes you may wake up with a froggy throat or voice loss or a little bit of discomfort in the throat. So let's talk about a couple different things that can help you so you don't end up in any type of vocal distress. So the very first thing, which I'm sure if I said, by show of hands, give me the number one thing to help with vocal hygiene, everyone would say, you said it, water. It's hydration. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The FDA says 6 to 8 ounce glasses of water a day, or I think it was also half your body weight in ounces. So the water will help lubricate and moisten the vocal folds and keep them functioning normally. Now, think about the throat. There are two holes, right? One holds the esophagus and goes down to the stomach. So that's where your food and your water goes. The other houses your windpipe and the larynx. So when you drink a glass of water, does it go down the windpipe? We hope not, because when it does, it is not pretty, right? So you drink the water, it goes straight down to the esophagus. Therefore, you need to be drinking your water hours and days ahead of time when you have a lesson or a show or any type of vocal performance, any type if you're public speaking, and you're going to be using the voice. You need to make sure that you're drinking days and weeks ahead of time so that it's getting into the bloodstream, and then that blood runs through and carries back and keeps the vocal folds moist and functioning at their optimum level. Right? So keep that in mind. Drink, drink, drink. Water, water, water. Now, when I just say drink, 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 that sounded to me like chug, chug, chug. It's not that I recall that, but so that makes me think of alcohol. So let's talk about that for a minute. Alcohol has a very drying effect on the vocal cords. Same with any type of caffeine drink, right? They're diuretics, which is increased frequency of urination. Right? So that is going to do the opposite effect. So you need to be really careful and watch your caffeine and alcohol intake, because that's defeating the purpose of lubricating the cords. Now you can eat certain foods that help some. Doesn't replace water, of course, but there are high water content fruits and vegetables like cantaloupe, celery, cucumbers, grapes, and they too have a high water content, so that you could use those or eat those on those days that you have performances or vocal production duties. Okay, another one is breathing, and I just did it. Nose breathing as opposed to mouth breathing. Now, when you breathe in through the mouth, it can cause a drying effect on the vocal folds. Right? Especially in cold weather. And that cold air is going straight to the cords. So you want to practice nose breathing, where it keeps the air moist and it keeps the air clean. Now, another thing that helps with breathing is correct posture. And we talk about this in our vocal lessons all the time. Standing tall so that you get proper enough capacity for a deep breath, right? Slouched posture has the opposite effect, right? And it can cause ineffective breathing and a hoarse voice. So you got to be very, very careful of your breathing. Also, when you are speaking with sentences, don't take the breath at the very end. You don't want to keep talking and keep talking and keep talking until you run out of air, and then you're left with no breath at all, and then you keep going and come to the end, and then you take a gasp for air. Take the breaths when you need them, just like when we sing. Take the breaths when you need them. Okay, so here's another, and this is a big one for my 20-something and younger, my teenage girls. Often, I hate to stereotype, but an easy approach to voice production. What does that mean? What we're referencing are glottal attacks on the vocal cords, and that is a hard onset. All right, so I could say that another way and you will hear what this means. A hard onset. Onset. Apple. All right, what's happening right there are my vocal cords folds are hitting each other. Bam, bam. So you want to start speaking with an easy onset. It's legato speaking, legato singing, where everything is kind of connected. Like I just did there. Everything is kind of connected. Everything, I put an H in front of the E, try it, is kind of connected. Now, the improper way to say that is everything is kind of connected. Everything, they're hard vocal onsets. That can be traumatic to the vocal folds. So we work a lot on eliminating hard vocal onsets and glottal attacks. Okay, so think about that. And I had Cindy Donnell down at VCU was saying, make your speech legato. And that just really worked for me. That resonated. Make it as legato as possible. If you're going to eat an apple, not an apple, right? That's hitting the vocal folds together. So that's a really big one. Okay, so let's keep going and continue on our journey of vocal hygiene. So one thing that we hear a lot, we often hear people who aren't singers or moms who say, oh, your throat's hurting, just whisper. It's okay, just whisper. I'm here to tell you, do not whisper. It's not okay. Do not whisper. Whispering has drying effects on the mucosa of the vocal folds, and we're forcing the airstream during expiration when we're exhaling. And so then it increases the muscular tension in your throat. And that is bad for the larynx. Do not whisper at all. The other thing is, as you start doing that, and then you begin to not even notice the tension that you feel in your throat, and then bad habits are going to can creep in, and can stay with you long term. So try your best not to whisper. Another way to handle it is to talk in a higher, softer voice. You can feel the weight lift off of the vocal folds. When you whisper, you can feel it grip. Try it now. I don't want you to whisper for long. Right, so when you whisper, you can feel the muscles there. Now, try a little bit higher tone. Support your sound and just reach up just a little bit and say, how was your day? Instead of, how was your day? You can feel it. How was your day? I'm talking a little quieter. It's not a pressed sound. And so this decreases the tension. You're not having as much tension. Please, please, please do not whisper. Take it from a vocal teacher instead of your mom in this instance, okay? I'm just saying. The other thing is, nowadays when we're in the car, many of us have Bluetooth or speakerphone. But what I've noticed is oftentimes people say, I can't hear you, it's a bad connection, what are you doing? And so I find myself talking louder and saying, Mom, so how are you today? Which is really, after 20 minutes of a phone conversation at a pressed volume, that increases the tension, and that's a no-go also. So the other thing is, just why don't you, if you're talking on the phone in the car, if you talk like this and see if they can hear you, and if they can't, and if this isn't working for you, then you need to just curtail the phone conversation and do it another time. Do it another time. The other thing is, when you put the phone on your shoulder and you're constricting the larynx here, like this bad posture, that's no good either. So just try to stay off the phone for extended periods of time. It's better to have that conversation one-on-one, face-to-face, or if you're going to have it over the phone, make them shorter. Make the conversations shorter, because we're often not supporting our sound, and so then you get into bad habits and you're down here and just kind of talking like this, and it just dries out the vocal folds. So try and cut down on your phone cradling or your phone conversations, or in the car and on land. Okay, so let's talk about some daily habits and behaviors that we can eliminate. Things for you to be aware of: coughing, throat clearing, sneezing, hard sneezing, achoo! Right? So you may not even know that you're doing it. Many, many people clear their throats. It's just a nervous tick sometimes, and you don't really think about it. Well, what are you doing when you're clearing your throat? You're rubbing the vocal folds together. And this is something that you do not need to do One thing that you can do when you have something in your throat, if you're singing or whatever, swallow. Take a minute, swallow, or continue to sing, and it's going to clear. It will move. I promise you, it will move. Just keep the airflow going and try not to clear the throat or cough. This can have very damaging effects to the vocal folds. So be very conscious about your throat clearing, your coughing, your hard sneezing, and your vocal onsets, because they're causing the cords to hit together, and it can cause long-term effects. So try and watch. You can monitor these habits that you have. Just be conscious when you feel yourself clearing your throat or about to. Instead of going, start to swallow and just wait. Drink some water. Or if you're in the middle of a song, just keep on pressing the air through, letting the air go through the vocal folds, and the mucus will move. I promise it will move out of the way. So just be conscious of these habits and try and break them as quickly as you can. The other thing with all of that is we're coughing and we're clearing our throat because we may have some thickened mucus back in the throat. That's another thing to be conscious. If you're noticing it more than usual, then there's something called acid reflux and silent reflux. There will be another video I'll be doing about that, because that's a huge can of worms in itself. It is very relevant to singers and voice users, many people today. It's a huge problem now that we're all dealing with, and a lot of it has to do with the time of day that we're eating, when we lay down after we eat, the type of foods that we're eating. Dairy produces a lot of extra mucus. Menthol and mint, peppermint. This is a little too technical, but it helps relax the lower esophageal sphincter, which allows acid to creep up. So you have to be conscious of the certain foods that you eat. Again, like I said, acid reflux is a very real thing that we will talk about later on. But if you're noticing any increase in mucus, that might be something to start being aware of. How your voice sounds in the morning when you wake up. If you have a froggy throat or raspy sound or feels burning, all of that may be a contribution from acid reflux. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, here's another one that's very hard for us as performers and singers with our insane schedules, and that is rest. Okay? No one will take care of you as well as you can take care of you. You have to look out for yourself. We are our own business. This is our calling card, our voice, and the way it sounds. And you have to get the rest so that you can produce your best sound. If we don't get enough rest, sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you have a lower voice. The natural voice is a little bit lower than a supported voice, right? And so we tend to press sometimes in pitch and tone. It's a forced voice, and we do it in order to be heard, but that is increasing the muscle tension. And so you all get your rest. If you can take that 5 minutes and go take a little cat nap in the back of the plane or the train or the car or back in the corner, just to rest the voice and to not use it. We've spoken before about if you have any type of damage or fatigue in the throat, just like if you've got a sore ankle, you're not going to run on it all day, right? You're not going to run on it probably at all that day or that week. You're going to rest it. But for us as voice users, it's very difficult. We need our voice every single day. So it's up to you to take the time out to rest the voice. If it's only 5 minutes. Be silent, take a break, breathe, and rest. Okay? Now, with that being said, if you don't have enough rest, you're also going to get what? Faster, sicker, faster. Especially this season. Flu season was a bear. I don't know anyone who did not have the flu this year except for, maybe Sherry. 1 or 2 people didn't have the flu. It was crazy this year. And so you need to stay healthy, because if you're not healthy, you don't have a voice, you don't work, and we don't make money. Right? So as singers, it is so important to us to stay as healthy as we can, because we use this voice. It's our moneymaker, right? So wash your hands. Wash your hands. You know that. Your mama told you that. Everybody says, make sure you wash your hands. And the other thing is to drink as much water as possible. I often put emergency in my water bottle, or airborne sometimes, a little extra vitamin C. I'll put it in the morning, in the afternoon. Drink that water. Keep your body hydrated. Flush out the toxins. It is very important for you to stay healthy. Okay? It also, as we're tired, it affects, we're sneezing, we're coughing, and it causes swelling in the laryngeal area, and that affects your vocal folds. So try and stay as healthy as you can. Drink that water and get that rest. Okay, here's another biggie. This is an absolute. There are no bending of these rules at all. Do not, under any circumstances, smoke anything. Don't smoke anything. Smoking can kill you. I don't know if you've heard, but smoking is bad. Smoking is bad. Okay? It's terrible for a singer. It is directly related to laryngeal, esophageal, lung, mouth cancers. Okay? And that's if you're not a singer. Let's just put singing aside. That is for you as a person. Smoking is bad. But as a singer, it's terrible. Right? The smoke, the carcinogens, all of it. It affects the lining of the throat and the vocal folds. They're, like I said, again, the word fragile. You must take care of them. And you may not notice the effects of smoking in the very beginning, but I promise you, 1 year, 1 month, 5 years, 10 years, you absolutely will notice a difference in your sound. And that's just the smallest side effect that could happen. Right? So please, under any circumstances, do not smoke, and do not be in a smoky environment. That's a smoky bar, a smoky car, a smoky lounge. Like, stay out of those environments. Look out for you. Look out for you. The smoke affects the mucosal lining of the vocal tract and the lungs. And what do we need to produce sound? We need the vocal tract and we need the lungs. So please do not do it. Do not do it. The other with that pretty much goes hand in hand is alcohol. You guys, alcohol dries out the vocal folds. All right, so yes, do I drink wine? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. No. When I drink a glass of wine, I have a glass of water, right? The two go hand in hand, and I don't have more than one on most nights. Okay. No, on most nights, I don't. So you have your glass of wine and a glass of water, all right? But alcohol will dry out the tissues. So be very careful with that. That's something to, when I'm singing, that I don't have any alcohol around me anytime, the day before, maybe the day after, maybe the night after a show. But alcohol it dries the mucosal linings of the tissue. So please be very, very careful. And it also, this is a little technical, but it also relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, which allows that acid to creep back up the esophagus to the vocal folds and eat them away. It's acid on the vocal folds, right? Goes back to acid reflux. So alcohol, caffeine, smoking, minimal, people. Not minimal smoking, but keep your caffeine and your alcohol intake to a very, very, very minimum, because it absolutely does affect the vocal folds. Okay. Finally, you all, if you notice any type of vocal disturbance, go see a doctor. There used to be this whole connotation that if you had any type of vocal trouble, you were a bad singer or you had bad technique. That is not what it's about. Yes, it can be what it's about. However, in more instances, what it is overuse, right? We know when we hurt our wrist, we know when we hurt our knee or our ankle, and what do? We rest. That's a great excuse not to go to the gym that day, right? We take a rest, but with voice production, when we notice something like that, we really can't stop talking, or at least we feel as if we can't. And so we keep on keeping on. Well, when you do that, you are exacerbating the problem, and you need to go see a doctor. So seek a physician as soon as you notice any type of disturbance. It is not a weakness. It is not poor technique. It is, you've got an injury, and so you need the proper tools to heal it. Now, a lot of this, what we've spoken about, this vocal hygiene, is for prevention, right? If you do these things, I promise you will have an easier way of producing your voice and going on to have that awesome, awesome singing career that you want. And it's about sustainability. It's not just about getting the gig. It's about keeping the gig. and you need vocal hygiene. You're not going to keep the gig if you don't take a shower and if you don't stay clean. So do the same with the voice. All right. So if you like this video, please give us a like, a thumbs up down at the bottom. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to email me at cruisecoach or catmod@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you soon. All right. Bye, y'all.